I'd rather police officers die in duty than kill an unarmed person. Why are we so afraid to say this? You've probably heard the saying that it's better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. If you watch police shows, or if you've had an encounter with the police, you may have heard one say, "I'm going home tonight." The emphasis in that statement is always on their survival. The first statement is reprehensible and despicable for a sworn officer. The second statement is incomplete, and it may place the life of the officer above others. Neither of those statements should be standard operating procedure for any police force. And for the record, I'm a vegan. I don't want anyone or anything to die. But if police officers can talk about what's better, then I can talk about what I'd rather. When it comes to unarmed persons, I'd rather a police officer die in the line of duty than kill an unarmed person. Now, this time I'm not here to argue any specific case or crime, although you better believe too many come to mind. Instead of pointing my fingers at specific instances, I place my points on police officers everywhere, of every color. There is nothing honorable about killing an unarmed person, but there is plenty of honor for erring on the side of caution to preserve life, even to your own death. It's clear we have it wrong and backward in policing. So at what point can we say a police officer's life is no more valuable than an unarmed person's? And we all know policing has inherent risks, but police officers must know and accept these risks as part of their jobs, right? And I know many accept these facts, but policing isn't alone with these facts. There are other professions with deadly risks too. EMTs must render services to someone with bodily fluids that ooze. Firefighters must rush and run into buildings that burn with billowing smoke. And for the sake of safety and life, crossing guards stand in intersections every day. In many professions, self-preservation at the expense of another life is an abdication of duty and cowardice. In some professions, it's better for the employed professional to die rather than another. It must be the same for policing. It must become so substandard to kill an unarmed person. Someone must look these killer cops in the face and say, it would have been better for you to die than to kill someone like that. In policing, self-sacrifice must always trump self-preservation. Just showing up in a uniform with a badge isn't enough. Officers must protect and serve other lives besides their own self-interests. Think for a moment about the school police officer at Parkland High School who didn't rush inside. Or what about a teacher who saves themselves at the expense of students facing the barrel gripped in the hands of a mass shooter? Most people care about their lives and want to survive, but we expect authorities to overcome their fears for the sake of saving lives. So if a police officer isn't willing to die to save an unarmed person's life, then they shouldn't be a police officer. It's that simple. Now, of course, police officers must protect themselves, but they must equally consider the lives of unarmed people too. Panic by a police officer must no longer be reason enough to get away with murder. The police must also fear for the lives of unarmed persons. Even if an unarmed person seeks to harm themselves, harm others, or harm the police, a police officer must fight to save or spare the life of the unarmed person too. Instead, too many police officers call for emergency services to pick up and clean up the tragedies they made. When I was young, my mom told me the police shoot first and ask questions later. The police must use other means and tools instead of deadly force on unarmed persons. But when I look around, I see police officers skipping, leaping, and running amok across America with glee. Their bullets hit and break the backs of those on the run or turned away from them. The police use their guns like long lassos to ground their victims. And there are no excuses or worthy explanations. No one should die because of an officer's mistake, thoughts, or judgment. It's better an officer die wrong than live long because they were wrong. If there's no proof, officers should not shoot. And make no mistake, the wildness of police officers exceeds the use of guns alone. The police kill people with their hands, batons, chokeholds, and rough rides too. I expect police officers to fight crime fairly, And fair doesn't mean they always win at any cost to life. I know this notion is disturbing. It exposes the cognitive dissonance and double standards that exist for police officers. It's time to break the double standards for police officers. We must second-guess police officers to end the second-degree murder at their hands. If police kill an unarmed person, we should assume they are wrong. The burden must be on the police. If it's a shame, abusive, and criminal for a man to hit a woman, then it must be the same or worse for the police to kill an unarmed person. In both cases, the arms may not be the same. Police who kill an unarmed person must become intolerable and an utter disgrace to their service and society. But that's not how it works in America. America valorizes military service and policing above many other professions and everyday people. I'm here to say no. It should not be this way. The highest honors must come with the highest standards and accountability. We must reserve the highest honors for those who pay the highest price with their life. We must reserve the highest honors for those who pay the highest price with their life. The highest honors are not for those who could pay the price, but never would pay the price. This excessive nobility of the police is an all-out sham. It's a sham to control people, and it's a sham to top off the already overflowing coffers of the greediest industries and the gun lobby. Policing in America does not have to be this way. The system must hold officers who killed an unarmed person to an even higher scrutiny. We must end the Officers' Bill of Rights and put them on the level with the people they serve. As former President Obama said, we desperately need officers to see themselves as guardians rather than warriors. Guardians must do the double duty to protect themselves and save others. When people are unarmed, the police must do both at all times. If police officers can't do the double duty, then they don't deserve their duties. If police officers can't do the double duty, then they must face double the trouble. I just know I'm so tired of the rubble of lives from police trying to save their lives. And if I must draw the line, I draw my line with their lives on the line. I call it a lifeline.